name is Nolan, and this incident happened when I was 21 years old. My village is just below the hills of White River National Forest in Colorado. It's common for people in the village to go into the mountains at night, but after what happened to me, even thinking about going alone terrifies me. I often wonder if I'll ever be able to forget all my bad memories. Some things stay with you, no matter how much time passes. I had returned home for summer break after 6 years. To celebrate my return, my childhood friends, Leo and Adrian, decided we should the mountain waterfall, deep within the forest. We started our trek early the next morning. It was an 8-hour hike, and the path was difficult, but the view was incredible. After walking more than halfway, we got exhausted. We found a quiet resting spot surrounded by small paths that led deeper into the mountains. The forest was strangely quiet. We played some music and had lunch. I must have dozed off for a bit. But suddenly, I heard the faint voice of a child close to my ears. When I woke up, I realized my face was wet with tears. It startled me. I looked around and saw that no one was there, and it had already become evening. For a moment, I thought it must have been a bad dream. Everything around me was calm and quiet. I checked the time, feeling uneasy, and then gently shook my friends awake. We had a habit of wandering in the mountains at night, even after sunset. So we decided to keep moving forward. All 3 of us used our phones as flashlights. But after a while, both of their batteries died. We had no other choice, so we picked a path and followed it, hoping it was the right one. We walked for hours, but the climb kept getting steeper, and the path narrower. Despite walking so long, we couldn't reach the waterfall. There was something strange about the air. I kept getting the feeling that someone, or something, was following me. Every time I looked back, though, all I saw were trees and bushes. After wandering in the forest for several hours, we realized we had strayed far from the right path. It felt like we had ended up on a different mountain altogether. Exhausted and worn out, we decided to set up camp for the night. While pitching my tent, I suddenly heard the voice of a little girl coming from the bushes. It was faint, but it sounded like she was trying to say something to me. I couldn't understand her words and brushed it off, thinking it was just my imagination. We had a quick meal, and I went straight to sleep, trying to shake off the eerie feeling. Not long after, I woke up, feeling something strange. To my horror, I realized someone was dragging me. My body was being pulled through the dirt. I looked up and saw a figure, a man, but with features like a terrifying animal. His face was twisted and monstrous. I screamed, and the creature stopped, turning to look at me with angry, glowing eyes. Before I could react, he lunged at me with his sharp claws. Suddenly, I woke up and found myself lying inside the tent. My body was drenched in sweat. The fire we had lit had burned out, but it was still dark outside. I couldn't sleep anymore, and for a moment I thought it was just a dream. But the fear felt too real. Adrian was resting peacefully next to me, but Leo was missing. He wasn't in the tent. Worried, I stepped outside and started searching for Leo. Just then, I heard Adrian scream from inside the tent. Terrified, I ran back, but when I looked, Adrian was still asleep, unharmed. I woke him up and told him what had happened. As we tried to figure out what was going on, a shadow appeared outside the tent. It looked exactly like the demon I had seen in my nightmare. I started wondering again if it was a dream or if it had really happened. Adrian screamed in fear, and before we could react, the creature tore through the tent. Now we could see it clearly. The figure had a terrifying face, half rotten with long, messy hair. Its toenails were sharp and long, its teeth pointed like fangs, and its red, glowing eyes were filled with anger. It didn't seem like an animal. It looked more like some kind of alien monster. It looked at us with an angry, devilish grin, its eyes burning with malice. Somehow, we managed to run out of the tent. We didn't know what was happening, but we kept running, not daring to stop. After a while, we found ourselves on a strange path. It was very narrow, and we kept slipping as we ran. We started running as fast as we could, but the hill was steep near the top. Our legs struggled, and no matter how hard we tried, we couldn't move quickly enough. I could feel something sharp hitting my body over and over, but we didn't stop. Eventually, we tumbled down into some bushes. Everything around us went quiet, and from where we lay, we could see a village not too far below. We knew we had to get there to survive. But then I noticed something on Adrian's shirt. He was bleeding. When I checked myself, I saw that I was bleeding too. There were hundreds of small cuts all over our bodies, as if something had tried to grab us while we were running. Just then, we heard that terrible roar again. It was much closer this time, echoing through the mountains. Panic surged through us, and without thinking, we turned and started running downhill as fast as we could. We kept running until we couldn't move anymore. Our bodies were exhausted, and we were badly injured. And worst of all, there was still no sign of Leo. Then I felt someone approaching us. When I looked up, it was a goat herder. Seeing our condition, he started shouting, and soon many villagers gathered around us. The moment we saw them, both Adrian and I collapsed and lost consciousness. We remained unconscious for an entire day. When we finally woke up, we found our bodies covered in bandages. We were in the house of the village head. As soon as we regained our strength, we told him everything that had happened. After listening to our story, the village head stayed silent for a while. Then, in a serious tone, he told us that our survival was nothing short of a miracle. He explained that the mountains we had escaped from were known to be home to magicians who practiced dark magic. Many years ago, a man had gone there to try and control them and gain their powers, but strange and terrifying things had happened ever since. The village chief continued, telling us that the man had sacrificed many animals and humans to gain more power, and then disappear into the mountains. But the people here believe that he's still alive, sustained by dark magic, and has returned to those same hills. He waits for his next victim. The chief also told us about a young girl from the village who wandered into those mountains while playing and never came back. The villagers believe that the dark soul of that man sacrificed her. And even today, if someone enters those mountains, the same thing happens to them. Hearing this sent chills down our spines. We had barely escaped, but we never saw our friend Leo again. The memory of what happened haunts us to this day. So if you're ever out in the mountains, never take an unknown path or venture into places you don't fully understand. Don't forget to check out our new story. You can find the video link in the description and pinned comment. And of course, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more thrilling content. Thanks for watching.